My name is Larry Hanna. I'm a commercial photographer based in Las Vegas. And I do a lot of food photography, mostly for restaurants and the hotels here and around the country. Normally when I'm having to do food photography, it's back in a kitchen or in front of a restaurant somewhere, but I very seldom have windows to work with. But window light is probably my most favorite light source for shooting foods. It's soft and beautiful and it just really makes the food look attractive. Now, other sources when I don't have it available to me, I either use strobe, continuous light like tungsten light, but lately I've been using LED lights. If you have bright sunlight coming through the window, then you need to diffuse it. You can do that by using even like kitchen parchment, sheet, anything that's going to soften that light. Even if you have like a curtain, kind of a sheer curtain, just enough to soften that light so it doesn't come through and create those really hard shadows and so forth. Now my style of lighting is one light source. I like light coming from one direction, okay? Because we only have one sun, so you're used to seeing light coming from one direction and shadows coming the other. I don't want cross shadows. I don't want a shadow coming this way and one coming this way. It makes it very confusing. So I will light with, generally on food, I like the light coming across either from 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock. Just depends on the product. Some things look better when they're totally backlit, and some look more from the side. So you have to kind of play with each like there's no set in granite type thing where you've got a light has to be here and a camera has to be here. No, play around with it. You get the optimum light for showing your product. Now you might also notice I have this window over here, and it's got a lot of light coming through here. It's going to flatten out my lighting, so I will close that off. Okay. This is the light at 180 degrees. So I move around. This is like at 90 degrees. See how it's creating a nice shape there. So I come around, you can see how that light's flattening out. This is the light directly behind now. You can see there's very little shape to the eggs when you get over to here. Coming all the way around. You can see how now we get shape again. You're going from highlight to shadow. Okay, this is with the camera at approximately 90 degrees to the product. Now, you can see it's pretty warm on that one side. So let me cut my kitchen lights off. It's a subtle difference, but you'll sure see it on the end product. Now, right now I have the window that's right behind the camera open too, so I got a lot of ambient light coming from that. So I'm going to close this curtain to cut that off. You can see the difference it made there. Now, eggs are round, and in order to make them look round, you need to have a gradation of light coming across them, from highlight to shadow and different shades of gray in between. Now, if you look at the eggs there, they really have that. Now, if you think that's too dark on that one side, you can bring in a reflector. I use this. I got this piece of black foam core, put white on one side, black on the other. So if I want to really make it dark, I can put the black here. Since it's a V, it just kind of sits there. I can do that. Or if I want to add more fill light, I can bring this in. But to me, that's too flat. Now I can back this off. You can see how it gradually gets more shape to it. So it just depends on what you're trying to do. But if you notice the gray on this box versus this, see, this is pretty bright now. As I bring this away, this goes dark. So to define the shape of the box too, you need to make sure that that goes a little bit darker. So it's all up to you how much fill light you want to give it. So here's the actual shot I did of the eggs. You notice there's a focus fall off. That's intentional, so we call selective focus. So I shot this at like f4 just to bring more attention to the front of the box. And I came in a little tighter on it, but I didn't use any fill light on this at all because I really kind of like the way that the eggs were going darker on the right. So you notice they're darker kind of on top and it kind of goes over. That's because there's a lot of ambient light in my room. And I didn't mind that, and if I did, I could have brought my black card in and totally taken that out. In photography, we're taking three-dimensional objects and put them on a two-dimensional plane. So in order to show the depth and the roundness and the texture of things, we rely on light to create shadows and highlights. Like on the eggs with a smooth surface, by having that gradation of light coming across, it gave the illusion of roundness. Now, this muffin here is a very textured surface. That's the reason I put it in here. And the light here is at 90 degrees. So you can see how the light coming across is creating really nice texture. And you can really kind of feel the muffin. You know, on this one, I wouldn't even add any fill light. I like the way the light is going from light to dark and really defining the muffin. Now, on this shot of the muffin, I moved around so the camera, my back is right to the light coming through the window. So I'm looking straight into this. So I have a very flat light, and it's not nearly as flattering or interesting of a light to do this muffin. So, and I see so many people, particularly bloggers, that tend to use very flat light, or people that go in and they'll shoot their food just with a flash on camera. And what that does, it totally uh, ruins, it makes the light so flat that you don't pick up the texture or roundness or shape of the food that you're shooting. So always remember it's usually better to have the light coming in from the side. You know, different foods have different ways of showing the light. So you kind of want to move around with your camera, keep looking at the light, how it's shaping your item, and just move around till you get what really looks to your eye the best, and that's what you want to shoot. This is a very popular way to shoot food these days, is the over-the-top. Um, this tripod I have, it's a M.Photog, which is really kind of good for doing this because that arm you can cantilever over. Now, in case you're curious, the camera I have mounted there is a Sony A7R II, and I have a Metabones adapter using a Canon lens. I think that's 1635. I had to use a little more wide angle than I like to use because I'm shooting, unless I put it on the floor, it's too hard to get up that high. So this usually works pretty good. I normally, most of my food photography, I shoot with a Canon 100mm f2.8 macro lens. It's very sharp and enables me to really use selective focus whenever I want to. Now this is a shot I got from shooting over the top. It's kind of an interesting angle. To say I prefer shooting at an angle because it gives more depth, I think. But this is a very popular way of shooting food these days. You look at most of the magazines and you'll see a lot of this over the top look. But you can notice how pretty this lighting is. This is just natural window lighting coming across, and it looks like you're in your kitchen. You could just reach down and grab them off, and you know, just a really pretty type of light. And notice how that side light is creating that texture. One thing about shooting over the top, doesn't matter what angle you are at to the window because the light's still going to come across. Here's another set of muffins I did the same way. You can see how this really, the side lighting really creates the sheen on the top and brings out the color and the texture of the muffin. I hope this has been helpful to some of you. I really appreciate you watching. I'm very passionate about photography. Matter of fact, when I don't have assignments, I frequently will go into my kitchen, this very spot here, and photograph different items just for the fun of it, just for the love of photography and capturing images. If you go to my website, lhfoodphotos.com, and go to the personal work tab, you'll see a lot of the items I've shot in this very manner. Thank you for watching.